All right, we're going to talk about mediocrity and how to break free and why it's so important to do so. And again, I'm going to be reading from this book. It's going to be, just a couple of pages, not too long. And we're going to start off with, I guess there's a presentation that they're going over in this book by Rod Halston. And this is his story. And they'll put why it's important to overcome mediocrity in context. So it's not just, me reading without a little bit of personal attachment to it. Recovering from my car accident wasn't the biggest challenge I've ever faced. Most people think, but you died. What could be worse than that? Well, it was approximately 8 years later when the United States economy had crashed and I hit rock bottom. Now, was it just me or did anyone else feel the effects of that? Personally, it was a complete mental, financial, physical, and even spiritual breakdown. I faced financial hurdles larger than most people will ever see. I was at the lowest point in my life. You see, being complacent and settling for mediocrity had launched me into a downward spiral and deep depression. Although I knew I had to choose victory over being a victim, it was easier said than done. I had to defy mediocrity. I had to consciously accept responsibility for everything in my life so I could change the power to change anything in my life. But no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't seem to turn things around. Then, one morning changed everything. That fateful morning, I took the advice of a friend and went for a run. I ran in an attempt to gain the clarity I needed to turn my situation around. Listen, I wasn't a runner. In fact, I despised running. That morning, I grabbed my iPod and laced up my Nike Air Jordan basketball shoes, and the crowd laughed, and with a big smile, "Hey, I told you I wasn't a runner." On that run, I had one of the most powerful and profound breakthroughs of my life. Have you ever heard something time after time, and then one day you hear it again and it finally clicks? That's exactly what happened. On my run, I was listening to a Jim Rohn audiobook. And Jim said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, "Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become." You see, every day you and I wake up, we face the same universal challenge to overcome mediocrity and live to our full potential. It's the greatest challenge in human history, to rise above our excuses, to do what's right, give our best and create the level 10 life we truly want, the one with no limits, the one that sadly so few people ever get to live. Unfortunately, most people never even come close. Approximately 95% of a society settles for far less than they want in their life. They wish they had more, live with regret, and never really understand what they could be, do, and have all that they want. So let me ask you, and I'm really asking you, are you okay with being part of that 95%? The crucial question then, the one that we must do whatever it takes to find the answer to, is this: what can you start doing now to ensure that you don't end up struggling like the 95% majority will? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to avoid a life of struggle, to join the 5% so that you can live the life you're meant to live? It sounds like your unanimous answer is yes, and if so, let me ask you the next simple question. Do you want to know the 3 simple yet decisive steps you must take to join those who rise above mediocrity and become the 5% to live a level 10 life? Yes, said the crowd. That's good, because luckily, that's the next part of my presentation. Step 1 is to acknowledge that if we don't separate ourselves from the 95%, we will end up struggling alongside of them. We must embrace the fact that if we don't commit to thinking and living differently than most people now, we are setting ourselves up to enduring a life of mediocrity, struggle, failure, and regret. just like most people. Realize that this will include our own friends, family, and peers if we don't do something about it now and set an example of what's possible when we commit to fulfilling our potential. Being average means to settle for less than you truly want and are capable of, and to struggle for your entire life. Each morning people wake up and proceed to settle for far less than they can be. As a result, they struggle to achieve what they really want. Physically, mentally, emotionally, relationally, financially, you name it. Most people wake up each day and struggle to create the level of success, happiness, love, fulfillment, health, and financial prosperity that they truly deserve. Physically, people are a mess. Obesity is at an all-time high while people look for energy in a pill, in a can, or in a cup. 1 out of every 2 marriages ends in divorce. More prescription, not to mention over-the-counter, drugs are being consumed every day in an attempt to combat depression, anxiety, and a host of other emotional and mental illnesses. Americans have more personal debt than any other time in history. Do you acknowledge that 95% of our society will never create and live the life they truly want? Yes, said the crowd. Good. Then you're ready for step number 2. Once you've been brutally honest with yourself and acknowledged that you've got to separate yourself from the mediocre majority, the second step is to identify the cause of mediocrity. There are 7 of them. If I were you, I'd write these down like you would write down the 7 most common mistakes consumers make when choosing a realtor. Right. The 7 causes of mediocrity. There are 7 primary causes of mediocrity that you need to be aware of. The first is one that every person suffers from. It's called rear view mirror syndrome. Most of us are driving through life with a subconscious mind constantly checking our own self-limiting rear view mirror and filtering every choice we make, from what time we will wake up in the morning to which goals we will attempt, through the limitations of our past experiences. We want to create a better life, but sometimes we just don't know how to see it any other way than how it's always been. For you to fulfill your potential, it is crucial that you not only begin to see yourself as better than you've ever been before, but that you invest time daily to condition that vision of who you can become until it truly does become your new identity. The second cause of mediocrity is our lives. In our lives is an unclear purpose. If you ask the average person what their life's purpose is, you will usually get a funny look or response, something like, gee, I don't know. What if I asked you right now? What would you say? Choosing a clear purpose, one that not only inspires you to wake up every day and live your life on purpose, but one that you can align all of your thoughts, words, and actions with, will be crucial in guiding you to the most successful, fulfilling life you can imagine. The next is called isolating incidents. This is one of the most prevalent yet not so obvious causes of mediocrity. We do this when we mistakenly assume that each choice we make and each individual action we take is only affecting that particular moment or that day. But nothing can be further from the truth. We must realize that the real impact and consequence of each of our actions and choices and even our thoughts is monumental, because every single thought, choice, and action is determining who we are becoming, which will ultimately determine the quality of our lives. The fourth cause of mediocrity is the lack of accountability. Consider that, as children, virtually every positive result we've ever produced was thanks to the accountability provided for us by the adults in our lives. Thanks to the relentless accountability of our parents and teachers, vegetables were eaten, homework was completed, and teeth were brushed. We were bathed, and we got to bed at a reasonable hour. If it weren't for the accountability given to us, we'd most likely have been malnourished, uneducated, sleep-deprived, and dirty little kids. Now that we were all grown up and striving to achieve worthy levels of success and fulfillment, we must take responsibility for initiating our own systems of accountability. Let me pause here and make sure you are tracking with me. Do you know someone who has perhaps let one of these bring them down. Of these first four, rearview mirror syndrome, unclear purpose, isolating incidents, and lack of accountability, perhaps lack of accountability is the strongest and yet most easily overcome by partnering with a coach or with an accountability partner. Let's continue. Fifth cause of mediocrity is our lives has to do with your environment. It is having a mediocre circle of influence. You've heard it before, we are the average of the 5 people with whom we spend the most time. Want to know how much money you can expect to make, how much money you can expect to weigh. Want to know how much money you can expect to make, how much you can expect to weigh, how happy you're going to be, or the outcome of any other area in your life. Add up the income, the weight, assess the happiness, etc. of your 5 closest friends, and you'll have a pretty accurate picture of what you can expect for yourself. It is crucial that we actively seek out and align ourselves with the individuals who are living and performing at the same level we aspire to be. The 6th cause, and please don't underestimate the last 2 as they are certainly prevalent in today's world, is insufficient personal development. If we're measuring our success on a scale of 1 to 10 in any area of our lives, it's safe to say that every single one of us wants a level 10 success. And not just in our careers, we want a level 10 health, happiness, relationships, energy, you name it. We all want to be at a level 10 in every area. The problem is that we're trying to improve our lives without first improving ourselves. The truth is that our level of success will always be parallel to our level of personal development, so we must dedicate time each day to developing ourselves into a level 10 person so that we can quickly begin to attract, create, and sustain the levels of success that we want to deserve, truly want and deserve. 7th and final cause of mediocrity trumps all the others. It is the number 1 cause of struggle, regret, and unfulfilled potential. It is the ultimate potential preventer and destiny destroyer. It's simply the lack of urgency. It is never deciding that now matters more than any other time in your life. That lack of urgency prevents you from doing what's necessary today to create a better life tomorrow. Remember this truth. Now is the most important time in your life because it's the choices you make today that are determining who you are becoming. Who you are becoming will always determine both the direction and the quality of your life. We can't continue to accept mediocrity for our lives and put off our best until someday in the future, because that day will never come. So, the first step we take is to acknowledge and embrace the painful reality that 95% of our society is struggling. If we don't commit to living and doing things differently than most people, we will end up struggling like most people. The second step we just took together, and we identified the 7 causes of mediocrity that you'll must be aware of and avoid. And the third step, they kind of have me speak through this, is the miracle morning. So the third step is making sure that every day you're not falling into mediocrity. So that's it for this little avoiding mediocrity and why this is so important, and how if you're depressed and anxious and you don't need medication. You just need to better yourself, because it's your body and your mind telling you that there's something wrong in your life. And take the hour and a half that you are sleeping in each morning and do something that you want with it. Self-improvement, learning a new skill, somehow using the hour and a half to guide you to that future you. Owning your own business, owning that bakery. Are you sure that you can wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and bake bread? Because that's what a baker needs to do. So you have to practice and commit yourself and use that time, and that's what's going to motivate you to get out of bed. It's that future you that you can become. It just requires some discipline and the mindset that is a positive result. And you're not just slogging away through every day working for somebody else's, profit. So I hope that'll help you push forward with your dreams. Okay, that's it for today. Tomorrow will be another video. So that's gonna be, we did an SAV, so that's E. Exercise. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? So it's gonna be really quick, but we'll go over the various types of exercise that you can do to, check that list, because the weather matters, especially here in Washington. It's dark in the winter. Anyway, that's enough of that. We'll get to that later. All right. Have an awesome day.